Hey everybody, we're going to talk about chapter 1.2 now. That is 1.2 is data versus information. The difference between data and information. My handwriting is not great on my little tablet here, but I think you get the picture here. I can erase a little bit of that. So data is just a fact. So like 8/31/2021. That's a piece of data. There's not a whole lot of information that you get out of just this piece of data. But if I were to give you some context and say, hey, this is the start date of class, then you'll see, oh, this piece of data can be used to give me some information because I know it's the start date of the class, right? So it's one thing to have the raw facts, and it's another thing to put them into context and to get meaningful information out of them. So typically with information, you have to process the raw data to kind of reveal that information. And you're going to use information to make decisions. So when you see that assignments have a due date, right, the date itself, say 9/7/2021, is a due date for a quiz. Right? You can process that fact, and you can know, oh, I need to do the quiz before it's due, right? And you'll get some more information. You can have some decision making around that now that you have information from that data. Now, there's all sorts of different kinds of data, right? Some pieces of data are yes or no, right? When you go and you want to apply for a driver's license, one of the pieces of data you need to provide is your birthday, right? You give a birth date, and then you can process that data, and you can see, is their age greater than or equal to 16? That is a yes or no piece of information that we can get, or a piece of data that we can get from processing this. So you can derive some data from other data. And maybe we want to store, yes, they're over 16 or not. Or perhaps if we were doing insurance, if we were going to sell you car insurance, right? One of the pieces of data that they're going to use is your age, because if you are less than 23, I believe it is, you pay more money because you are statistically more likely to be in auto accidents, especially males, right? So they're going to get charged more for their auto insurance. So by looking at your birth date, we can derive some information, right? We can process it and understand what we need to do here. Okay, other things, if you're filling out information for life insurance, one of the questions they're going to ask is, do you smoke? That piece of data there is a simple yes or no answer, right? Yes or no. And you'll answer that question yes or no. So that's a nice, easy piece of data to store, or like a binary on or off, 0 or 1, that we're going to store. Dates are common pieces of information. You might have dollar amounts are pieces of information. Like the data that we could store is the price of the stock, of a given stock at a point in time. Right? But without being able to process it, it's hard to put all those pieces together to have meaningful information or to have knowledge. So knowledge is the whole body of information about our facts, about our specific subject. So if we know lots of pieces of data and we can put them into context, we can get information, we can start building that knowledge about this particular subject. So one of the things you probably have on your phone is a GPS. And that phone can then find where you are, and that's how all of our map applications work. And if you like Google Maps and you said yes to their opt-in, I'm pretty sure you had to opt into it. Maybe you had to opt out. It's been a while. Every month you can get a report with a nice pretty little map on it here, and it'll say, hey, you were here and you went here and you visited this city over here, and then you went over this way and you drove over here and you traveled over this way, and maybe you went up here, and then maybe you went over this direction and you went back home. And a lot of times you spend a lot of time here at home, you spend a lot of times here over work, maybe you spend a lot of times over here at school, and then maybe you went to your friend's house once. You can put all this piece of information together. You can track all this data to build some knowledge about you. Right? And that's one of the things Google likes to do with people. That's not spooky at all, that they know all of our movements, right? So one of the things we need to do to be able to properly turn data into information, right? Data all by itself is just the facts. To process it and turn it into our information, or information, right? We need a way to manage it. You have to manage your data. We have to have rules around, well, what gets stored and when am I storing it and how long am I maintaining it? How long am I going to retain this data? Who's going to modify it? Who's going to add to it? Can we list all sorts of things out? So that data management is that process. Data management is all about how we collect the data, how we store the data, how we retrieve the data, how we're going to add to it, delete it, how long we're going to keep it, all that sort of thing. So we need to know what we're doing with our data and how to process it to put it into context. We can handle information and knowledge. Because just the facts all by itself are not all that useful, right? Something like 97% doesn't really tell you anything without any context, right? Maybe that's a score on something. Maybe that's your overall grade. Maybe that's 97% of students at OCC do something. Right? We don't really know what that 97% means without the rest of the context.